Alright, let's talk about safety in Colombia. First up, I want to say that I felt pretty safe everywhere in the country. So whether you are a solo traveler or traveling in a group, it is a good idea to visit Colombia in my opinion, and you'll feel pretty safe overall. But let's get a bit more specific and talk about what I did and what I didn't do when I was in Colombia. So during my trip in Colombia, I visited mainly touristy places. So I traveled to Bogota, Medellin, Bahia Solano, Salento and the Cocora Valley, as well as Cartagena. All these places felt pretty safe, and I was walking around during daytime. I was going on tours, exploring cities and spots by myself, checking out different restaurants, and I didn't have any problems at all. I didn't go out during the night though. I stayed inside when it was dark. I didn't use any taxis, always Ubers and rideshare apps. And I also did some good research on tour companies I joined and got some advice from the hotels I stayed in. In general, wherever you travel, be it Colombia, the USA, Africa, Western Europe, Asia, it's always wise to take a few precautions when you travel to stay safe. A few of these precautions I have already touched upon. For example, use rideshare apps instead of taxis. It really helps a lot if you know what the number plate is going to be of the taxi you are ordering, where it's going to take you, and who's going to be driving. The chance that the taxi you're ordering is going to be a fraud is already a lot smaller because they have to be registered with a company like Uber or other rideshare apps. I also advise you not to go out after it gets dark. It just gets so much more dangerous out there. Especially in Colombia, there are definitely a few places where it's wise to stay inside after sunset. There are also a few villages where it's completely fine to go out and party. Especially if you are in a group, then that should be fine. But if you're traveling on your own and you want to be on the safe side, just stay in after it gets dark. It also definitely makes sense not to wear your fanciest clothes when you're traveling or all your jewelry. If you don't know the area very well, then I advise you to just wear some cheap clothes and not look too fancy overall. The most important tip I could give you regarding safety is to talk to the front desk of your hotel or the hostel you are staying at, because they know the areas very well. So usually when I arrive, I ask them what areas are safe to walk in, what parts of the city should I avoid, and they usually give very accurate information, and you can trust in that. Of course, you're traveling, you want to meet new people, you want to be open to the culture, you want to experience everything, but at the same time I advise you to be a bit cautious when it comes to people you don't know. Just try to read them and understand what they're trying to get from you. If they're just trying to be friendly, still be a bit suspicious, be friendly as well, but just keep in mind that there could be a potential danger here. This goes especially for people approaching you on the streets. It's not a problem to talk to them, that's definitely a good thing, but maybe keep a bit of a physical distance to them so that they can't get your phone or stuff like that. Overall, it makes sense to stick to touristy places if you are a tourist, but if you want to experience some of the more remote places that aren't really touristy, then I advise you to go with a local guide or at least with a group of people and not alone. So let's talk about these places I've visited in Colombia specifically. I visited Bogota. Overall, a bit of a dangerous city, but if you stick to the old town and the touristy places, as I've just said, during daytime you won't have any problems. I was walking around exploring the city center, didn't have a problem, but then I kind of left the city center and got into a neighborhood where I was approached by a local who told me that I wouldn't be safe here, so I best get out of that neighborhood, and I followed her advice. I don't know if it was actually dangerous, but it's definitely good to listen to what locals say and just stick to the more popular spots in the city. Cocora Valley and especially Salento is very popular with tourists, and it seemed very safe to me. Of course, I cannot give you a guarantee, but overall it seemed very safe, and I wouldn't think it would be a problem to go out at night there. It's a very small village with good police and seems pretty safe. Medellin is of course a huge city with lots of crime, but again, it's the same thing as with Bogota. If you stick to the main touristy spots, you won't have any issues. Just be careful when it gets dark and don't go out into the non-touristy favelas. I also visited Bahia Solano, which is usually not on the list of many tourists. I did some good research and I found out that the coastal region of the state of Chocó is pretty safe. There are some hotels and it's kind of a resort vibe there, even though it's not luxurious by any means, but it's kind of a protected bubble out there. Overall, the state of Chocó is known to be dangerous, but that area around the coast is safe. You can also comment if you have any questions about this specific location. At the top of many tourists' wish list in Colombia is Cartagena, and I can definitely tell you that you don't have to worry about your safety in Cartagena, especially when it comes to its old town. It's full of tourists, nightlife is just crazy there, so don't worry about it and just enjoy your time in Cartagena. Maybe watch out for pickpocketing, but that's about it there. Alright, and that's how I felt about safety in Colombia. Overall, felt pretty safe. Obviously, it's not one of the safest countries in the world, so if it's your first solo trip, maybe try a different place first. But as I said, usually the same rules apply. If you are cautious, you won't have any issues. Thank you very much for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video.